Hello friends, how are you? I'm feeling good, still a little bit of a cough, but my throat is better, so can't complain. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Vicky. This is Vicky Loves Books, and this is my channel dedicated to all things bookish. So if you want to hang around, grab your drink of choice. I am drinking a Timmy's coffee. Here in Canada, it's Roll Up the Rim to Win. So fingers crossed. Okay, so to start off this video, I thought I would start off with some stats for February. Month of February, I read 14 books. So of those 14 books, 10 of those were romance, 3 were thrillers, and 1 was a manga. Overall, pretty good reading month for me. I read 3 physical books and 11 ebooks. 2 of the 14 books that I read were LGBTQ2S+ representation, and I read a total of 4,914 pages. The first book that I read was Ruled Out by Morgan Page. This is her debut novel, and I just have to start off by saying this cover is so aesthetically pleasing, from the colors, the softball there, all glowy. This is just an absolutely stunning cover. I have been following Morgan for a while. She actually is a fellow book reviewer. So when she announced that she was releasing her own novel, I was like, you know what? I have to buy it. I believe this is on Kindle Unlimited as well. So this is about Phoebe, and she is just starting her first year in college. First chapter, she ends up having an encounter with a man called Knox, and instantly there's instant attraction to each other. Later on, she finds out that Knox, the man that she had encountered with at the cafe, is actually her college softball coach. So, of course, this is a forbidden romance. It's age gap, them, and how they navigate wanting to be with each other, the tension, the angst, and how they're going to do that while he is her softball coach. She is his student. They're in school, so obviously there's rules, and yeah, so this was really good. I gave it 3 stars because I felt I would have liked a little bit more build-up and tension in their relationship. I felt it was insta-lust as soon as they had that first encounter, and then their relationship developed fairly quickly after that. There wasn't a lot of slow burn. So overall, it was a great story. I really enjoyed Knox. But good first debut from Morgan. This book that I read took me by surprise. I absolutely adored it. Came in number 2 in my top favorites for the month, and Evan Sanders is a hockey player. He has a bit of a reputation. He's sort of the bad boy on the team, and he really plays up to that. He really lives it up. Ends up meeting Stevie. Stevie is an employee for the charter plane that the hockey team has hired to take them across the country for all their games. Sanders meets Stevie, and Stevie is, oh, I love her. She is so sweet, but she's feisty. Like, she gives it back to Xander, which I absolutely loved. She wasn't just a wallflower. She really was sassy, feisty, and I really did love that. Really great. I loved the banter. I loved the development of their relationship. This was a slow burn. I also appreciated that it touched on subjects such as mental health. I thought that was done really, really well. It also touched on body positivity and our relationships with our body. Stevie definitely represented the type of body that I have. So I really appreciated that. It touched a lot on, how we feel in our body, how others see us, how we feel with clothes, and how clothes you can fluctuate between weight, and sometimes pants fit you and sometimes they don't. Sizing at different places can be frustrating because all brands fit differently. So, and towards the end, Stevie was able to be comfortable enough in her body that she didn't care what people thought about her. So it was really nice to see her growth and her development of, this is my body. I'm going to love me. I don't care what people think. So I loved that. I felt that I could really connect and appreciate that. I gave this 5 stars. I loved this. It was enemies to friends to lovers. I loved it. Was The Temporary Wife by Katharina Mora. Really, really enjoyed this. I gave this one 4 stars. The overall story of this series is about this family, and the grandmother has been raising her grandchildren. The parents have passed away, and in order for them to each claim their part of the business, is grandmother is marrying them off in order to have strong family ties and strong relationships with other wealthy families. We follow the different siblings. So this story follows Luca and Valentina. There's an event, and Valentina is dancing with someone. They're looking really cozy, and the grandmother is, going in Luca's ear about how Valentina's going to be snatched up. He's always thought she was attractive, really absolutely would spend a night with her, but he was always like, no. And so he sees this, he gets all jealous and possessive, and they end up sharing a moment together. A couple of days later, the grandma invites everyone over for dinner and announces that Luca is going to be getting married, and the person that he is going to be engaged to is not Valentina. So Valentina is starting to get really upset. She's starting to think, oh, maybe I do have feelings for him, especially after that moment. And then from there, this is their story. I absolutely loved it. In the first book, no one really brought up the fact that this grandmother was making these decisions for these grown adults, and no one called her out on her crap. And Luca did that, and I'm like, someone has to call out this grandmother, because I'm going to spoil it, because it was really twisty, really, really sweet moments between Luca and Valentina's abuela. I did cry in this. It was sad. I really loved as well that it did touch a little bit on grief. 4 stars, really enjoyed it. And cannot wait for the next installment. The book that I read was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. Friends, OMG. I loved this. I'm wanting something light, and this felt like the perfect kind of book, only it was not light at all. I cried. I was like, oh my God. This book starts off with Percy. She ends up getting a phone call, which kind of changes the trajectory, how her life has been going. So after this phone call, she ends up traveling back to her childhood summer vacation spot that she had with her family, and she ends up reconnecting with her childhood friend, Sam. This goes back and forth in timelines from present and then in the past. So you get to see over 6 summers how Percy and Sam's relationship developed. I thought that the timelines going back and forth between past and present really helped bring this to life. I think having that timeline in the past to see the relationship between Sam, Percy, Sam's brother Charlie, and it absolutely, I think, really helped to pull on those heartstrings and get those emotions going. This 5 stars, but I do have to say there was a part in here, there was something that happened that to me would be unforgivable. Story, the plot, the character development, the relationship between all the characters in here really did save it from that moment. I am really excited for Carly Fortune's next book that's coming out. Highly recommend. If you haven't read this, go pick it up. It was good. It was my favorite book of the month. This is book 2 in the Windy City series, and this follows Stevie's brother Ryan. He is a basketball player, and it also follows Stevie's best friend, Indy. This book, Indy was in a long-term relationship, and his boyfriend had cheated on her, and so she had no place to go. And so Stevie ends up asking Ryan if her best friend Indigo can live with him. And at first, Ryan is like, no. He likes his privacy. He likes things to be in his control. He likes things perfect and orderly because he is so private. He has all these expectations that he feels like he has to live up to. And so he's like, absolutely not. But Ryan can't say no to V, and he decides to do this favor for his sister. We get to see this really sweet relationship develop between Ryan and Indigo, and let me tell you, I want a Ryan. He is probably my favorite book boyfriend. I'm gonna have to do a video on book boyfriends because I have so many. And Ryan and Indigo end up becoming roommates, and Indigo is invited to her friend's wedding, and her ex-boyfriend is going to be at this wedding. So of course she doesn't want to go to this wedding solo, and had said, he's bringing a +1. So Indigo is like, fake boyfriend. And eventually her and Ryan come to some kind of agreement. He's also now the captain of the team, and there's kind of uncertainty about this new role for Ryan in terms of the team's manager. And so he was told that to show the management and coaching staff that he is a team player, he's down to earth, and that he's a family man. So him and Indigo kind of decide, hey, let's do a fake dating kind of thing, and then this will benefit the both of us. So it kind of goes from there. Obviously, fake dating, gonna be some angst, some tension, some feelings. This was slow burn, the banter, the spice. I absolutely loved it. I want to mention it does touch base on infertility, and it does touch as well on cheating, and as well some mental health. So best book of the month, absolutely loved it. Go pick this one up. 6 that I read was Ethan by Ella Frank. So this was an arc that I got, so I was super happy to get this. I love Ella Frank. She is one of my favorites, and Chloe is, I believe, 18 or 19. She is just starting to find herself. She's wanting to have fun, and she ends up going to a sex club, and at the sex club she meets Ethan and Zane. So Ethan and Zane are a couple. They are looking for a third to add to their dynamic, and they set their sights on Chloe. It was also super spicy. It touches on BDSM. They kind of say, hey, let's have a trial run, see if this is even something that you are comfortable with and that you like. They make her go through a contract. They have discussions. There's rules in place, safe words, things like that. So Chloe ends up going on this wild ride of self-discovery. I gave this 5 stars. Like I said, love Ella, love being in the Chicagoverse. I read book number 7 was All the Lies by Raina Kent. And I gave 3 stars. So Raina ends up having a brain injury, and so she can't remember any of this. So she finds there's like people after her, and she doesn't know who. But that I read was the rest of the story. Was also a LGBTQ2S+ rep. This was a male-male hockey romance. I'm pleasantly surprised. I went into this not thinking I was going to like it, but I really enjoyed this. It has a found family aspect to it, which I really liked. Main character, and he is traded to one of the worst hockey teams in the division. It happens in the beginning between the captain and our main character, and the captain is very abusive, and so he is kicked off. He's out of the division, off the team, and then our main character ends up being captain. Well, while he is on this team, he meets a fellow teammate, who ends up becoming his assistant captain, and they end up sort of developing a friendship. Friendship ends up turning into something more. So this was really, really sweet. In a lot of books that I've read that are like sports romances, men seem to be kind of the dominant, and it was actually a woman who was the manager and the coach of this hockey team. And so to see this team as, you know, really low in the division, not winning games, they have a really poor reputation, and then to see the end of this book where this woman has helped along with the team and this new captain to get this team to be number 1 in their division. Oops, maybe that was a spoiler, but that one 4 stars. Book that I read was Hail Mary by Candy Steiner. As you can see, a lot of what I read this month was sports romances. They did not disappoint. Loved this. So this starts out with Leo and Mary. They go to the same school, but they have never interacted. They're in different friend groups, and they are each into video games. So they end up playing online games, and he doesn't know who Mary is, but Mary knows who he is. And she doesn't really want to meet him because she's worried about what he will think of her. They have this really great online relationship. They're friends. They're telling each other things that no one else knows about them. Leo's sharing things with her about the pressures he feels with his family. She goes to see him after football practice one day, and the meeting doesn't go as planned. So he has no idea who she is, but this moment, her hopes, dreams, her feelings were crushed. Forward a few years, and Mary is in college and Leo's in college. So Mary lives across the street from Leo, and Mary's house floods, and like, hey, come live with me. So at first she's like, no, I don't think so. But then the team and some of the other girls are like, yeah, like, come on. And so she ends up moving in, and then from there, their relationship develops. It was love when the main male character speaks a different language and then uses that language to make really sweet and cute and like spicy nicknames for the love interest, and then you don't know what the nickname means until later on, and then you're like, swoon. Gave this 4 stars, and you should go read it. Never Lie by Frida McFadden. So it's about a couple, and they are going to see a house. Ends up getting stuck, and so they decide they will just spend the night in this house. They get into the house, they realize that this house actually was lived in by psychologist or psychiatrist. Went missing and her body was never found. So while they're there, finds a room with tapes of recorded sessions between the psychologist and her patients. And so she starts listening to these tapes, and freaky stuff starts happening. So I'm not going to give too much away because I definitely think you should go in blind to this. Like, I was screaming, jumping, took me for a ride, and I loved it. I was here for it. But I was really, really disappointed with the big reveals. Not just one reveal, there were several in here. You go in blind, you may end up loving the reveal more than I did. But for me, I gave this 3 stars. And I read The Inmate. She's a nurse and she ends up going to work in this prison where her ex-boyfriend is serving a life sentence for murdering their group of friends. 2 timelines, the present and then the past. So in the past, we see the lead up to what happened the night of these murders. And again, classic Frida McFadden. You think it's going one way and it goes the other. I gave this 2 stars because the plot wasn't as exciting to me. I felt like it had potential, but it just felt kind of jumbled together. So not one of my favorites. The plot itself was poor. It had a lot of holes, a lot of inconsistencies. As you can see, it was a Frida McFadden month. My most anticipated reads for 2023. This follows Millie. This is quite a few years after the first book ends, and Millie, we see a different side to Millie, and I really liked that because it was the same kind of plot. So she does end up working for this family, and she ends up kind of stuck in that same pattern where that the wife is kind of stuck in her room, secluded. The husband doesn't want Millie around the wife. So I'm not going to get any more into the plot than that because I don't want to ruin it, but it was actually really, really good. I did enjoy it. I gave this 4 stars. I recommend you pick up The Housemaid's Secret if you've read The Housemaid, and if you haven't, then pick up The Housemaid before you read this. Three Strikes and You're Mine is about Chloe and Luke. So Chloe's a chef and her boyfriend owns this really fancy, popular restaurant. She goes to the restaurant one night. She forgets her keys and she finds her boyfriend and her friend / co-worker having sex, and she ends up going home, and one of her uncles, I believe, gets her in touch with a property management company to look after properties where famous and wealthy people will be staying. She ends up running into Luke and Luke's daughter, Harper. Luke is a baseball player. He's taking a hiatus right now to raise his daughter, and he is not wanting Chloe to be there. He just wants the summer with his daughter Harper without any nanny, without any help. And so Chloe's like, oh no, he's gonna ask me to leave. I really need a job. And so she basically says, hey, I'm a chef. I'm a great cook. Please, I won't be in your hair. I will cook for you. I'll do some light housekeeping and you'll never see me. It goes from there. So it's a forced proximity. There's a bit of a age gap. He's a single dad. First, they're both definitely fighting their attraction. So they definitely get to know each other as friends. A fun, light, quirky romance. I really enjoyed this. It was really sweet. I gave this 4 stars. So the thing that I read in the month of February was Spy Family Volume 1. I really, really liked this. I gave this 4 stars. So this is about Twilight being tasked with going undercover into this elite school to find out some information about their target. But in order to get into this elite school, Twilight needs a fake family. He adopts a daughter. Her name is Anya, and Anya is a telepath. So she knows that Twilight is a spy, but she doesn't let on to that because she doesn't want to go back to the adoption agency. He finds out that he needs a wife to make this really sellable, and he finds, I believe her name is Yor, and she is actually an assassin. So it is this really fun, really quirky found family with a spy, a telepath, and an assassin, and they are going to try and get into this elite school and make contact with their target. But this first volume is them becoming a family. I gave this 4 stars. I actually laughed out loud too. There's some actually really funny moments in here, and so I really like that. There we go. Thank you so much. If you like this video, I would really love if you could subscribe, thumbs up. Next time, have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend wherever you are. Stay warm, stay safe, and have fun.